Justin, and I'm here with my audio guy, Ryan.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
And so this is the debut episode on the Herald Broadcasting Services Network.
Yep.
And we're here, and we're going to talk about everything.
Yeah.
You know, I spent the better part of a little bit about me. I spent the better part of the past 10, 15 years watching every single documentary I can get my hands on. And I'm a daily news consumer from all avenues. And, you know, a lot of my friends and family and people, they oftentimes come to me and ask me about things that are going on in the world. And it just seems to be something that I enjoy doing and people enjoy thinking about and listening about. So that's what I'm going to do here on this podcast. I'm going to go through things that I'm going to go through different perspectives that most people don't have, or most people don't get a chance to really look into. And I want to explore the fuckery that's going on in the world.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of it. There's a lot of fucking shit. And it just seems like we're so disconnected from reality at times, and like the facts of situations are ignored, and people just need to be told what's really going on. Like, you know, let's talk about the state of the empire, the United States empire right now. We are the superpower of the world. We run everything. I mean, we have 800 bases in 150 countries around the world, and nobody has a base here. There's a reason for that. And, you know, you talk about like what America's good at. Here's a list of the things that we're awesome at: police shootings, per capita incarceration rate, antidepressant use, gun ownership, military spending, national debt, mass shootings, prescription drug use, the cost of healthcare, the cost of education. And since World War II, we've pretty much started most of the conflicts and wars out of all the countries in the world. So those are the things that our countries are good at. Our country's good at. And it doesn't seem that way in the news. If you watch basic news media, that's not the message you're getting. The message you're getting is a little different. It's mostly about, you know, sex scandals, things blown way out of proportion, like kneeling at a football fucking game, reporting on things that just instill fear and tension in an entire populace. Race scandals, Russia, terrorism, division of people. It's fucking insane. And there's a lot more going on than just those things. You know, like there's more to it than that. Like, when's the last time we heard a awesome news story about new technology behind bridge building? You know, like, hey, we built a new awesome bridge that's never going to fall down. Or we came up with this new thing, this new technology, or anything of those sorts. Our news media is corrupted in a massive way, and it's just insane. Like, it's insane. And that's what people use in their daily lives to like go off of. That's what they're basing their whole opinion off their world is all these divisive, tension building, fear mongering types of news articles. Like and maybe I'll do that a little bit here too. Because conspiracy theories are awesome, and oftentimes, and in the recent years, more and more has been coming out about how true these things are. Whether it's, you know, the drug war, the Pentagon releasing new UFO files, the Pentagon losing $21 trillion without it being accounted for, you know, starting wars in Yemen, arming terrorist groups. I'm sorry, freedom fighters.
Yeah, what's the difference there?
There is no difference. The difference is we were terrorists. Yeah. Like, we were terrorists to the British Empire. Like, and we made a whole country out of it. Like, and it worked out great. It's just crazy.
Maybe that's why we're arming them.
Probably. We just wanted to make more Americas.
We understand.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it seems like our little empire here is in the late stages of societal and empire economic collapse. You know, you talk about jobs, you see what's going on around the world, especially like go look at any local Craigslist job board, right? And you're going to see line cook, painter, just the same 5 jobs over and over again. Service industry jobs like It's very rare that you will go and see like, oh, you know, they're hiring at the factory and making a new chip that makes AI for our phones. Like that's not, it's not what we do here. Like,
Yeah, it's all overseas.
yeah, but we actually, and the statistics for exports for the United States, you know, we take credit for that stuff. Like if you look up the top 10 exports for the United States, machinery and computers and stuff like that is one of our top 10 exports. And yet it's all not made here. It's made overseas. We're not really exporting it. We own the export of it in another country, which is even more insane. Like most people don't realize that. Really, what our main exports are in the recent years, the only people we export the most arms and we export the most drugs, which pharmaceuticals specifically. Germany actually, you know, they got us on a couple of pharmaceuticals as well, but we're pretty well tied in with them. You know, we're second. At least we beat them in the arms race,
Yeah.
which is
Apparently, we didn't beat them in busting cocaine trafficking. Though.
right. Yeah, we did not beat them in cocaine trafficking.
I don't know.
That's because we're beating them in use. You know, we want it all. Like
Yeah.
we're bringing it all in.
Yeah.
We're the most heavily medicated society ever.
It's probably because
basically.
we're the CIA or the FBI is actually distributing that much.
Yes,
so they
that's
need to list
correct.
it. I'm not sure I feel about that many Germans on cocaine.
Right? I feel like that's a recipe for disaster.
Yes.
that's a road
know
we may
about
not
that.
want to go down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to look at in the shows. All these different things that the media doesn't want to cover in reality is what I want to cover. You know, one big thing is the corporate takeover of our entire country, you know, through government regulation, not just through force or the free market or anything like that, but the manipulation of the free market by government regulation to make things happen for those bigger corporations, consolidating power into bigger and bigger companies that just rape and pillage the people, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so recently there was the iPhone scandal where it was found out that Apple is deliberately slowing down older phones with their new updates and forcing you to go buy new batteries. Like that's what's known as planned obsolescence.
Yeah.
Like it's a planned thing that these devices will go out of favor and then you're going to have to buy the new stuff. Rather than taking the approach of why don't we engineer it the best we can off the bat, and then if it doesn't work out, you know, we'll try something new. Their whole thing is to make more money. That's what it's all about. It's all about the fucking money and the fucking debt. Like that's what we're about. It's a debt-based society, and we're losing that game. Like we're gonna lose.
Oh yeah.
You know, like all the cash in your pocket, all the cash in the United States, that's on loan from the Federal Reserve, and they charge us interest. Except we can't pay back that interest because we need more money from the Federal Reserve, which they'll give to us at interest.
Yeah. What's interesting about the Apple thing, so I was actually listening to a guy the other day. He was talking about it was last night, and he's really hard on Apple, and he was talking about, well, like batteries only last so long, you know.
Yeah.
And, like there are like defensive points over Apple, but they did it the wrong way. Like they went and they like did this update to like, because apparently their phones were shutting down, right?
Okay.
They were shutting down randomly.
Yeah.
And they did this update to the software so that it would like only request the amount of voltage that it needed and never more, because that was what was shutting down the phones.
Oh,
And they
okay.
did this update in secret, and they never told anyone because they thought the PR backlash would be
Oh,
that
wow.
they're trying to
Fail.
sell new batteries, new iPhones, and stuff like that. And then so like it was hush hush for a while, but now the PR backlash is
Yeah.
that they're trying to sell new batteries, new iPhones.
Now there's like there are class action law, like multiple class
Yeah.
action lawsuits against them for this too.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
don't
like,
think that they're gonna go anywhere because one, Apple and their lawyers.
yeah, exactly.
And for two, like batteries die. I mean, like you
Yeah.
can't, you know, you get a car, your battery's gonna die eventually. You have to
Right, right.
replace it, and like you know, any other smartphone on the market. But like, that's not just to defend Apple, though. I mean, like they did it in a shady way, and like they're a big corporation. They like,
You know, and that's been their MO since the beginning. You know,
Pretty shady.
they originally designed their machines so that it was hard to get into them and make changes.
Yeah.
Like that's their whole thing is, you know, they plan out for you to spend the maximum amount on their product.
that's why there were no viruses for a long time.
Right,
It's because
exactly.
like all the viruses were like Windows coded, and like to get something on Mac, like shit, man. I think even to get a piece of software on Mac, you had to go through Macintosh themselves, right?
Right.
To like get the software development kit and like get the permission.
The whole
Like,
thing. Yeah, it's very difficult. It's just, yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and like it's pretty clear that it's not just Apple. You know, like a lot of companies operate under the assumption, well, we don't have to make the best product now because it'll make us more money in the future. And you don't, and you notice that like when a company doesn't make their quarterly earnings report multiple times in a row, well, we'll just get a new CEO and we'll push something new. You know, like the incentive isn't to make a good product. The incentive is profit. And what's ending up happening is as all these corporations consolidate, they're basically becoming these super organisms with their own agendas that are devoid of humanity, essentially.
Yeah, they end up getting political agendas, even
Right.
though they're not.
And that's how all of our politics works. You look at lobbying, you look at Senate and the Congress, like from the oil industry to the banking industry to the arms industry, everything, all the way down the line. It's just politicians, revolving door, CEOs going from this job to a political job to a CEO position, and just like in and out, in and out. And it's like, all right, we're just going to continuously build up the wealth of these board members on all these different corporations, and we're going to do everything we can to regulate it in a way that makes barriers to entry impossible to get over.
Yeah.
Like we can't have a free market because of how much regulation there is. And that would be great because that seems to work. Like it has worked in the future. There was a time in this country in the 1800s where the free market was a thing. And that's when, and you know, people say,
That's when
oh,
Sears was selling heroin though over like mail order.
yeah, but it's
People were happy.
Yeah, people were happy. And you know what? There was a lot less heroin deaths when it was legal,
True,
which people
yeah.
don't talk about. Like, you know, and there was a social stigma to being hooked on Dilaudid, I think was the old name for it. It was like the golden liquid and stuff like that. Like if you were hooked on that stuff, you know, society was the one that came down on you, and your family was the one that came and tried to help you out, or they tried to figure out the real reason why you were using opiates.
Yeah.
You know, like what was going on in your social life that like around you that caused you to do that. We could care less about that now. We just make it illegal and we'll put everyone in a cage. That'll solve
And there's
everyone's
a
problem.
Huge like market for rehab and stuff like that.
Right.
You know.
Yes,
Like,
and there's huge money in it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all tied to the healthcare industry,
Yeah.
which has been completely lobbied and taken over by the feds.
oh yeah.
Like,
Especially
just
recently.
insane.
Like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it's crazy though too, because it's like it's like the dog that like tries to bite its own leg off, because like the healthcare industry, like the feds are trying to like shut down all of these like healthcare places, but then what's going on is like those healthcare places or the rehabs, they're trying to shut down all these rehabs and halfways
Right.
and stuff like that. There's busts all the time now, but then they just like find another way. It's just like the drug industry. It's like we
Yeah.
created this drug, and then like nope, this is illegal now. So we'll just like change one thing and change it.
Right.
Change like the
Like
name
we
a little
know,
bit.
like there are proven methods to help people who have substance abuse issues, right? There are proven things to do, and one of them is and the one thing is don't lock them in a cage because you're just gonna make it worse.
Oh yeah.
Like that is the most fucked response ever to like what is essentially a mental or personal health problem.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, you're sick? Well, maybe jail will help. Like, what the fuck is that? Maybe if we take all that person's money, it'll make it better. Yeah, okay. That's the best way to do it.
Well, and it's like I feel like okay, so it's crazy because people will learn new methods of like getting high or
Yes.
whatever, or like
Water always finds a
stealing, or-
way.
yeah, like new methods of being a criminal in jail.
Right.
Because like they're basically at a school for that.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Yes.
Everyone else is sharing their experience.
That's
know?
what you do when you go to jail.
Yeah, you have
What are you in
nothing
for?
else to do. Yeah.
Oh, how did you do that? Oh, you fucked up there. Well, all right, we won't make that mistake this
Yeah,
time.
let's go to the gym and then we'll talk about how we did things.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
You get swole so nobody can mess with you.
Oh man, the system is crazy. Like we are living in crazy times right now.
What
And
gets me is like nobody wants to take a look, an honest
yeah,
look. And
the
deep,
average
thorough.
person, yes, exactly. The average person, you know, their opinion on the matter is evil. Like, oh, this is an evil thing that's happening, and the government needs to stop it.
There's
We
so
need to
much
stop
more
it.
to that.
Yeah, like, okay, you need to calm down, and you need to really take a look at what's going on here, because it's not as black and white as this is a good thing to do and a bad thing to do. And on top of that, you look at the history of how drugs were made illegal in the first place. It is the most corrupted thing ever. Like basically a bunch of Mexicans started moving into the United States in the 1910s and 1920s. So we made marijuana illegal. Then 50 years later, Nixon was having an issue with African-American leaders and anti-war hippies. So he's like, oh, guess what? And he told his main advisor, and him and his main advisor came up with the idea, oh, well, we'll just start a drug war. We could just jail them all. And if they're all criminals, then their opinions don't matter on the war, and we could just keep warring people.
And we had all this data from the what's it called, Prohibition,
Right.
to find
Right.
out that like, well, when we ban something,
It's
gets
just the
way more
worst.
popular.
It's just the
Yeah.
worst idea
For the
ever.
public, it's the worst. For
Yeah.
us, it's quite great.
Right, exactly. It's fucking nuts. Like,
Yeah.
oh man. And you know, you have legal industries doing it. Like the Oxy family is one of the richest families in the world. The people who run OxyContin.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's just so we have this higher like
And it's
we've been
crazy.
taught that certain things are bad and bad for you, and like having a certain state of mind because of a chemical you ingested is somehow like the devil, which is there's no basis for that opinion at all.
Yeah.
Like there have been rites of passage throughout history in all cultures where you take a substance to like either go into manhood or experience something new outside the norm. Like that's just the way humans have operated.
I feel like it depends on who you are too.
Yeah.
Like some people, they can go so deep into it that they like get like terrible and stuff
right,
like that.
right.
But like other people, you know, like that's just like their thing that they do on the weekends. And, like,
Exactly.
that's okay for them, you know.
And
like, for
that-
me, it's not. I can't do that kind of stuff. Like,
Right.
I get really down, like gone, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I'll burn the place down.
Yes.
Like,
I've dated
you know.
women too that have that problem as well, and
Yeah.
it's like very clear. It's like, all right, and you know, it's awesome when the person realizes, you know, if you know what's going on with yourself, like that's the biggest thing. You got to know yourself, especially in the drug culture and things like that. Like you really got to figure yourself out and be honest with yourself, and then you're good. Like that's the thing. Having a government regulation on it, a prohibition on it, you're messing with the whole system. You're messing with humanity. You're messing with how this world operates on a real level, like on an animal level. It's crazy. Like it just doesn't work.
I feel like it's like a Borg type thing, like from Star Trek. Right?
Yeah.
Like you shut down like the Oxy family.
Uh-huh.
Like, they started with like OxyContin, and
Right.
then like now it's OxyContin or something, or
Right.
like whatever they changed like a little bit of it, but like one of them got illegal, and like as soon as we like found a way to like make that one illegal, they evolved into,
Exactly.
like, one that's just like another letter in the name.
It's
and
like,
a
all
new
right, well,
drug.
we made heroin illegal, so you guys are gonna have to do it a little different. Just you know, add this, make it a pill, put it in a prescription bottle, and I'll pay the FDA to tell you it's safe.
Yeah. Well, and it reminds me of like the Star Trek episode, or might have been one of the movies. Like they're shooting at the Borg, and the Borg are on their ship, and like they're shooting with their weapons, and they're like, okay, well, we can shoot at them, and like we can kill them for like a couple minutes, but then like after that, they find out the like frequency that our lasers are vibrating at, and their shields will be able to like protect
Right.
them from it.
We just learn.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
then they like
Adapt.
They start like cycling the frequency of the laser to like be able to kill the Borg, but
Right.
eventually like they learn all of the frequencies. So it's like
Yep.
you know, they
Yeah, like we're gonna get it. Like
Yeah.
you can't stop it.
Resistance is futile.
Right. And our attempts have done nothing but ruin families. Like
Oh, yeah.
our whole Jeff Sessions, our attorney general, is pretty much an idiot and the devil. Like he's just a fucking moron. Like, and we
They're
can do
all-
better.
They're
Yeah.
all that way.
Oh my god, it's so bad.
They're all so far removed from the
It is.
problem that they don't know.
Like, I would love to just see Trump and Sessions sit down and take like an eighth of mushrooms and see where they go after that.
Be interesting.
Right?
I don't know,
But
that's
actually,
all
I've heard that Donald Trump takes, or at least used to take methamphetamines. I think it's bullshit to assume that that guy isn't on heavy doses of prescription meds every single day. Like,
He's old.
Exactly,
old
he's
people
old,
just
and
kinda
that's
like-
what I'm saying. Like, he's probably got pain. I bet you he takes opiates. Like,
Oh,
how
yeah.
crazy would that be if that came out?
Yeah, I mean, but it would be like, I don't know. I feel like with the way that it's socially acceptable for older people with their pain and stuff like that to like,
Yeah.
and it's kind of bullshit too, because it's like you have like, oh my toe hurts, I stubbed my toe, and it's like, here's some like Oxy, here's some Dilaudid, like
Here's some
yeah,
Percocet.
you don't need to be in that much pain. It's like, man, that's really, it's not that bad.
Yeah,
you know? And we
exactly.
could replace it all with marijuana.
Exactly, because vegetables aren't dangerous.
Yeah.
Like they just aren't. We have this fucked up hierarchy of chemicals and states of mind. Like these two lists. Like you could be this high but not that high. You can do this drug but not this drug. You can have as much caffeine and coffee as you want, but I'm sorry, if you touch marijuana, like there's a cage waiting for you.
Well, until we start like finding a way to like, and we've already started like with dabs and all that stuff
Yeah.
like that, like concentrating it, but like there's eventually like we make that legal, the pharmaceutical companies are gonna be like, well,
Oh yeah,
let's
they're
see
gonna get
what
there.
we can do with this.
They'll get there as fast
It's
as
just
they
like
possibly
they did
can.
with the opium plant, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's see what we can do with this.
We'll just
And
keep
it's
fucking with
opium
it.
plant's illegal, and they did all that stuff.
I
but,
know.
like, yeah,
Crazy.
but it's not a Schedule 1, is it?
Yeah.
Schedule 1 is what marijuana is, right?
Yeah.
Same one as cocaine. Opium.
No,
I
I
think,
think cocaine is Schedule 2.
oh yeah. That's what. There was a senator who was like, "Yeah, how is cocaine
Right?
Schedule 2?" But yeah, opium is not Schedule 1. I don't think.
No, I don't think so
Yeah,
either.
because Schedule 1 is no medical use,
Right.
no medical benefit, which is bullshit because we have like how many states now that have legalized medical marijuana and it's helped people, and we see all these news articles.
Almost
boy
all
with
of them.
seizure, dogs with seizure,
Yeah.
like
The whole
Then
thing.
they like stop because of the
There's just so much misinformation about it.
Oh, yeah.
And people just take, the news media as gospel. And that's a real problem in the age of the internet. And I think it's coming to an end.
Yeah.
It's coming to an end with things like this podcast. And it's coming to an end with the more, dissemination of information. Like people talking about the stuff on YouTube, people talking about and like seeing it online, and the more and more that becomes popular, the less and less these things are going to take hold, hopefully. So, this whole show is an attempt to expose other perspectives of things so that you can take what you think you know and look at it from the other side. You talk about student debt, for example. Yeah, it's great. Go into debt, go get schooled. What makes a country great is its people being educated. That's how you get a great country,
oh yeah,
is teaching your young and like teaching them well. And we're failing at that. We're failing at education of all things. And then on top of that, our higher education is so costly that it sets people back decades. It sets people back, and it thwarts like innovation and invention in people because you're constantly worried about your fucking paycheck and making that payment to Navient every year. Like it's insane. Like there's cycles of debt that have been put into place by the power structure that like won't go away until we realize what's really going on with the world.
well, like people choose jobs that are not necessarily what they went to school for, or
Yeah.
even like what their passion is, so they're miserable in these jobs
Exactly.
just because it pays more money,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
like, there's no way to make that amount of money or even a living.
Like, it's
off of what
crazy
they
that
want.
our incentive base as a society is based on that.
Yeah.
It's not based on, hey, how can we make the best for ourselves and everyone around us?
Yeah.
It's based on like, oh, I need food and I need money.
Yeah.
So however much money I get, that's all I care about. We have taken individualism to the extreme in this country, and it's a real fucking problem.
Oh yeah.
Like, on a major level, like it
I don't know if it's just this country.
yeah,
might
no,
be
it's
the
cool.
world.
Then that has to do with our empire reaching its and our whole ideologies being sent across seas.
Yeah.
Like, that's another export we have. Our media, and our way of thinking. We're just trying to shove it down the throats of everyone who will fucking listen. Like, it's nuts.
This guy on Joe Rogan the other night was talking about, it's like markets are good, right?
Yeah.
Markets are great for society, and people are like pissed because there's like two different things merged into capitalism, right? And like,
Yes.
one of them is markets, and they get pissed at markets, but they're good. But the problem is, see, markets will help us solve problems that we couldn't normally solve on our own,
Right.
right? But when the markets are deciding the problems that we're
Yeah.
trying to solve,
Yeah.
they're deciding the ones that are solving things, right?
Right.
Or what problems to solve. So now we're addicted to our phones and Facebook,
Yes.
and
And it's bad.
it is
It's fucking
terrible,
rough.
It's so bad that like some like Nigerian kids are getting laptops dropped to them and stuff like that with like cranks and stuff like that, and like, are they going on Facebook? Like,
They are.
their first incentive should not be to go on Facebook. They're
Yeah.
starving. Like,
Normie book.
yeah. They're starving. Like, you need to get food. Like, you can't eat that laptop.
Yeah, you need to invent a solar panel, buddy. Like, you
Yeah.
got to get clean water out of the ground. Let's worry about the real cool things first, like
Yeah.
eating and drinking. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
let's go somewhere other than just talking about ourselves and fucking.
It's like, as a species, we've gotten our like basic primal instincts of like survival, like
It's
beaten
like-
out of us.
yeah, it's like our institutions have overtaken our humanity.
Yeah.
Like, our institutions, all these corporations, like these little things that we've made along the way that have helped us innovate and invent along the way. We need to shed a lot of that stuff off.
Yeah.
The baggage that's coming with it is not working in the new information age.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we need a serious overhaul, and it's coming, and it's happening. And we need to push it along as best we can. That's
Oh, yeah.
really what it comes down to. So, yeah. That's what we're gonna. That's what I'm gonna explore on this show. You know, like every episode, I want to take things like, news, politics, the medical industry, tech, things like that. And I want to relate it back to like how we can make things better for ourselves, because that's really what it's about. We need to be informed. People need more perspective in this world, and I think we can do that here.
Oh yeah.
Like, we can talk about cool shit, talk about things that people don't know about, like, and go from there.
Like the freaking AI problem that we're about to
Dude.
experience.
Dude, serious. Like, making bots and things, like, it won't even be robots, it'll be virtual reality.
Oh, yeah.
Like, overtaking it and just imprinting things all over our world. And like,
They're saying like a robot could do like the amount of work we've done in robotics since
Yes.
the dawn of mankind in like 2 weeks.
yeah,
They could do
Yep.
that. So like they're gonna start like building themselves.
like the
and we're gonna be
exponential
fucked.
curve of technology innovation is real. Like,
Oh,
that
yeah.
is actually happening, and that's what it is like, you look at the job market now, especially in this country, maybe not abroad, but like, when you trend a country upwards and make it prosperous, you lose jobs because like it's not needed anymore. Like, we don't need to make those things. Like, we don't need more coal mines.
Yeah.
Like, we want more jobs, but like, we need the right jobs. And
Yeah.
like, working at McDonald's isn't gonna cut it. Like, our whole industry right now is service almost. We have financial services, we have medical services, we have food services, like the whole thing. We're not producing anything. We're just sustaining and then using the rest of the world as our fucking honeypot.
Yeah.
And it's nuts. Like, that's a crazy way to run shit. But so yeah, that's what we're gonna do. And Yes, that's it for today. You know, that's the first episode. We're going to go from there. Thanks, Ryan, for joining me today. And thank you for listening.
Sweet. See you guys later.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the